going to go over a few structures that you can really see best with the Dura Mater on the sheep brain, and then we're going to go over how to remove the Dura Mater. Different people do this differently, but I'll show you how I do it. Before we start taking stuff off, we want to notice the pituitary gland right there, and then the trigeminal nerve, cranial nerve number 5, we can see that right here, and then our optic nerve and the optic chiasma where they join up, you can see those, and then the olfactory bulbs are right here. So that's where the filaments of the olfactory nerve synapse with mitral cells and then send the information down the olfactory tract. Now this outer white layer is the Dura Mater, and that's what we're taking off. I usually start on this side because it's a little bit easier. There's not so many delicate structures. So we cut off this top sort of tough outer Dura Mater. Most of it's going to come off pretty easily, but the places where it's going to be a bit harder to get off of the brain is right here in that mid-sagittal fissure and down here between the cerebellum and the cerebrum. So that came out pretty good. Let's go down here towards the cerebellum. And usually I hold the Dura Mater with the forceps pretty tightly and keep tension on it while I just cut it away from the brain tissue. And so the groove between the cerebellum and the cerebrum tends to be a little bit harder to pull it out of there. So you might have to use your scissors to help free it up, and then a lot of it just kind of peels up like that. So when you're pulling it out of these grooves here, you want to be kind of delicate, and if we come around to this side, if we were pulling too much, we would pull that trigeminal nerve right off. So one thing you can do is before you get to the trigeminal nerve, start to trim that Dura Mater so we're not dealing with any extra. That way we can see everything instead of having just one giant piece. We'll be able to see all the Dura Mater that's left on this side. So now you can see those olfactory bulbs really nicely there. Now, when we're just left with the Dura Mater on this bottom side, let me trim that off. I usually start down here towards the spinal cord and I cut right up the middle. And so that's going to require that I go through my pituitary gland. So that's why we looked at it before we did this. So we're going to cut right through it, and we're going to stop short of that optic chiasma because we don't want to cut through that if we can help it. So then I come out to the sides. Try to stay under it. There we go. And that's going to keep that optic chiasma in place. Then I'm going to very gently pull on the Dura Mater and look up under it. And what we're looking for is cranial nerves that are still attached. So there's a trochlear nerve still attached. I'm going to cut that loose while I continue to very gently put some tension on the Dura Mater. The trigeminal nerve often will break right here, so you can see where it broke. I'm going to try to keep it on there on the other side. Let's see, there's my oculomotor nerve, so I'm going to cut that loose. And then there's some other tissue. There's a lot of like fibrous tissue in there. So we want to cut everything so that as much as possible we have stuff staying attached to the brain, so it's not just getting ripped off with the Dura Mater. And then we do this side. Same idea, we want to very gently pull on the Dura Mater while we look for things that are still attached, and we cut them loose so they can stay attached to the brain. There's a nerve right there, subducens. There's a trochlear nerve down there, and we pull that off like that. There we go. So that's basically it. I always leave the Dura Mater on the optic chiasma, because we can still see it. Got your oculomotor nerves. There's one right there. There's the other one. Trochlear nerves down there. Abducens nerves.